It's 9 inches, baby. Whooshka. G'day everyone, today we are doing the Makita 40V 9-inch grinder. You may have already seen the 7-inch grinder that I did a few weeks ago. If not, take a look up in the top corner here. I did a few more tests on this than I'll probably do with the 9-inch. I don't want to be chopping up a ton of concrete and stuff with this thing. We'll just do some cut tests, stall test. I don't use this as often, that's why it's taking me a bit longer to get around to doing the video, as it takes me a bit longer to get used to the tool and see how good it really actually is. This is the GA038G. In most of the world, in the States, the 9 and the 7-inch grinder, for whatever reason, seem to be the same tool. They're not doing individual ones like everywhere else in the world, so you don't get the two different speeds like you do here. This tool, in this part of the world and most of the world, the 9-inch, will be running at 6,600 RPM, whereas the 7-inch is 7,800 RPM. Slower, more torque. Why the different speeds? Well, the bigger your disc gets, the more dangerous it is if it spins too damn fast. If you put one of these discs on a 5-inch angle grinder, which is rated at doing 9,000 RPM for instance, you put this one on, this disc is only rated at 6,600. So this tool is running this disc at the maximum. You put it on something that's rated at 9,000, just the sheer speed of it spinning around could tear the damn thing apart. You don't want the thing exploding before you even get to cutting it. So that's why the bigger the disc, the slower the speed, and that goes with circular saws and that sort of thing as well usually. The bigger it gets, massive big saws turn a lot slower than tiny little blades because you just can't spin them that quick. It's too damn dangerous. And the speed doesn't change when the disc changes size, which is something I know a lot of people have trouble with, but it's 6,000 RPM no matter how big your disc is. So if it's at the full depth here, 6,600 RPM, once it's worn down to here, it's still 6,600 RPM. That point, any particular point on this disc, takes the same length of time to do one rotation. It's just the further out it does that rotation at a higher speed. The RPM isn't the speed. This number here is the speed, 80 meters per second. So the outside moves faster, but takes the same length of time to get back to there as that point there. Comprende? Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves because we haven't even looked at the specs of the tool. It comes with a side handle which can go on the left and the right, and they've got a spot here where it looks like they were going to make it on the top, and they haven't. That's a shame. You can see in the middle there, it's flexing. Hopefully you can see it. We've got a bit of vibration dampening in the middle here. It is, of course, brushless, has a brake, comes with AWS. If you still don't know what that is, well, watch one of my other videos. Removable vent cover there. These things are good and bad. They're good because they stop too much dust from getting in, but they clog up so fast that sometimes they're just a right pain in the ass. It is a paddle switch, or dead man switch. Pull the trigger, and away she goes. Comes with a guard. It's not a super quick sort of guard, it's one of these lever style ones, but to get it off or adjust it anymore you do need a tool. Well, that was quick. I've run out of things to say about it already. It is 30% glass fiber PA6 nylon if you want to know, if you're of such a mindset. Wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. If you're new to battery angle grinders and you're interested in what the runtime's going to be on the batteries, I'll tell you right now, it's not much, okay? They don't last all that long. These are for convenience rather than all day grinding. If you want to run this all day, get a corded one. Otherwise you're going to spend a fortune on chargers and batteries, because 10 minutes of runtime on one of these things, that's about as good as you're going to get. Let's take a look at the weight. Bare tool, nothing on it, 3,014 grams, just over 3 kgs, and by comparison the 7-inch is 3,019 grams. We got 5 grams in it, so they're both 3 kgs with nothing on them. But once you add a guard, a grinding wheel, a handle, and a 5 amp hour battery, we are now looking at another 2.8 kgs. So all up, just over 5.8 kgs. So these two are the same shape, same size, same weight. So what's actually different about them? Why are they different speeds? Well, for that you need to have a look on the inside. But I'm not going to pull these two apart because they're nice new tools. But I did pull apart the 36 volt, the 18x2s of both of these tools. And so let's take a look at that now, and I'll show you what's different on the inside. As you can see, the one on the left is the 9-inch. Has way more teeth than the one on the right, the 7-inch. This one has to come into contact with that drive shaft from the motor a lot more times to make one revolution. So therefore it goes slower. Takes a lot more to get it to turn. Whereas this one has that bigger shaft coming in there, and it's just whipping this around a lot quicker because it's got less teeth and a larger point there, so it's spinning faster at this point, and it can make that go around quicker because it doesn't have to come into contact as many times. So there's why that one's 6,000 RPM and that one's 7,800. So now that you know how that works, we'll go do some cutting with these, I'll do some comparisons with the 7-inch, and I don't have the 9-inch 36 volt anymore. I sold that because I don't use them very often, so I've only got the 7-inch in the 40 volt here and in the 36 18x2, but I don't have the 9-inch in the 18x2. So, well, we'll just wing this and we'll put it up against whatever I put it up against as I go along. I don't know. I don't plan these things too far in advance, you know, I just make it up as I go along. Man, I wish I was tidier. I can't believe it, you know. You leave a bench for a couple of weeks and it gets piled with damn tools. It's the bane of my life. I would make videos so much easier and quicker and get more out probably if I didn't leave shit everywhere all the time. And just plonk everything on the first available flat surface. When it comes to the stall test, the 9-inch does better than the 7-inch. Wow, easy to stall. And the 5 does better than both of them. So the 7-inch, even though it's got a smaller disc and you may think it's harder to stall, it has higher RPM. This has the lower RPM due to that gearing in the head here, so it has a bit more torque. You can put a bit more welly into it and it won't cut out on you. Bonus prize, if you know, bonus price, there's not even a standard price. Anyway, bonus prize, yeah right. What do you reckon the model number of that behemoth in the back there is? Comments down below. I find it balances quite nice with the 5 amp hour battery, but I'm not really liking the guard. I think it's a bit anemic, it's just not quite wide enough. Needs a deeper guard, more like this one that came on this 7-inch 18x2 grinder. It's much deeper here. This one, no matter where I positioned it, I seem to be getting sprayed with a hell of a lot of sparks. My crotch was getting quite warm during some of those cuts. But that's another story. With all the things I've been doing with this, no matter where I position the guard, I seem to be getting sprayed with sparks all the time. It was really hard not to get it firing at me somewhere. A lot of it was just missing the guard altogether, and it's just because it's not deep enough, I don't think. It's just firing out the side rather than being caught by the guard. Small grinders, it's not so bad, but when you're using a big grinder like this and you've got to use these thick cutting wheels, the cutting wheel on this is nowhere near as thin as you would get on a 5-inch grinder. See, these get down to, this is 0.8 of a millimeter, whereas this one here is 2 millimeters. Yeah, that's a Makita one off a 7-inch grinder. That one's only 1.6. So as they get bigger, they've got to get thicker just so they don't sort of fall to bits, start wobbling around and shaking about all over the place. So that means more sparks, because this is thicker, it's got to remove more material to make a cut, hell of a lot more sparks, and yeah, I just didn't think this was quite up to it. I'd much prefer to see a thicker one like that, or maybe even an enclosed one for cutting, like this one. If you're new to grinders and you think, well, I only want to buy one grinder, so I'll get the biggest one and that'll do everything. It'll cut small stuff, it'll cut big stuff, it'll do everything I want it to do and I won't have to buy the smaller ones. Think again, I wouldn't go down that route. If you're only ever going to buy one grinder, get a 5-inch grinder. A 5-inch grinder will do everything this will do except for extreme depth of cut. This is good for cutting large pieces of steel because you can get through it in one pass, and it has that sort of extra, just feels more powerful when you're cutting through big thick stuff. But for day-to-day use, it's much nicer to use a 5-inch grinder. When you start this thing up, if you're not used to grinders, using one of these big 9-inch grinders is a little more sort of, you know, so go for a 5-inch if you're unsure. I've got another couple of grinder videos that I want to do. Hopefully I'll get around to doing that soon. Maybe I won't. Maybe it'll never happen. Who knows? YouTube's like a box of chocolates. You never know whether you're going to get around to fucking making anything. Does that make any sense? So until next time, that is yet another Makita 40V grinder. I might do a review of the 6-inch one if people really want me to. I'm not sure how many places that's available in. You can get it here, but 6-inch grinders, not a common thing here at all. Let me know what you think about that down in the description as usual. In the description, try the comment section. I'll do the description bit. But in that description bit, you'll find links, if I can find them, to Amazon and stuff for these and other information, handy hardware. You can get them there in New Zealand. I might even put an eBay link down there. Who knows? It's all to play for. Anyway, thanks again, boys and girls. I'll see you on another one next week, as is the routine now, in case you hadn't noticed. 40V review from Makita pretty much every week for I don't know how long now. Got a few other different things coming up shortly. So cheers, see ya.